Yo, what's up? Back with another video. I hope you're well, ladies and gentlemen. Today we've got Renaldo Gouws calling Dan Corder a little.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on clear misinformation by mainstream media. This isn't something new, but you know, when you are an arrogant little dick like Dan Corder, it needs to be called out.
And he's also describing him as a man who'd sell out his grandmother.
This is Dan Corder, like the same guy that is willing to sell out his grandmother in order to keep his job. I mean, this is the person that wanted to tell people, oh, you as a white person are evil and bad, working for the SABC at 5FM, right? So he was preaching to people how, they should make space for, the previously disadvantaged, but he didn't give up his job. No. And now he is with ENCA and he is not giving up his position for a black individual, So it's always equality after me. Fair treatment of previously disadvantaged people after me. I mean, he's never said no to a very prestigious position and said, rather give it to a previously disadvantaged individual. He's never done that. But he always expects it from other people. And this is the kind of double standard that we deal with in South Africa. It's always fine to stand on a pedestal and tell other white people what to do as long as your own interests are secured. But everybody else needs to make sure that they abide by the previously disadvantaged quotas and the race laws that we have in South Africa. Except you. Make it make sense. And that's pretty much all I got to say.
So where does all of this come from? What is this anger brewing between Dan Corder and Renaldo Gouws? These are two white guys. They should be together, holding it like brothers, but something seems to be going wrong. Well, let me first refer you to a clip from some time back where Lachlan Nicholson said that there are these white people who play activism on behalf of black people, and all of it is a messianic savior complex. He says that these white people believe that they are superior to blacks and the blacks would not be able to do something without them. Right here.
As a white person, you can be a Kim Heller who loves the EFF. You can be a Dan Corder. You can be one of these white liberals, who sort of understand and fight for the black struggle.
Something I should point out here is that these white liberals to whom you refer are not your friend as a black person. White liberals who virtue signal and do performative activism on behalf of blacks in South Africa or really anywhere else in the world don't do it because they understand or care about your struggle. They do it because they consider themselves better than you as people, and they think that without them acting as your white saviors, you will never achieve anything. So if I were you, I wouldn't put faith in them.
So you now understand that Dan Corder is somebody who is being referred to as a sellout among his people. You'll know that us as black people, especially me myself, I don't really subscribe to calling people that. I understand that people vary. And Kateho, for one, I used the term sellout in one of the videos that I made about her. And I don't really believe that she's such. I believe that she's a black human being with a mind that is able to believe and subscribe to philosophies and ideas that anyone else can subscribe to, whether that person is white, whether that person is black, whether that person is Hispanic. And I see that because in America, for example, you do find black conservatives who will vote for Trump. It's just a whole different state of affairs there. People are categorized quite different from what we would normally categorize ourselves in South Africa. We as a black people would call somebody who is English speaking, a coconut. We immediately draw distinctions between ourselves and people who are fluid at speaking English, more so when they speak blasphemy towards black people with that English language that they have. We start to call them now sellouts. However, if you had grown up in the United States, you would just understand. They have terminology over there as well for coons and black Karens and whatever. So instead of all of these labels, I just understand that there are black people who are conservative, black people who may have grown up very rich, who have grown up in comfort, who have lived very bougie lives, and they are disconnected from the reality of everyday people, and they have a narrow-minded supremacist attitude. They feel like what they've received from birth is a sign of their merit, of their superior blood, and they will speak how they speak. It's just we are all a spectrum of people, and some people are so far from the others that we start to call them sellouts. And that is happening in the white world as well. Dan Corder seems to be so distant from what the rest of these other people are pushing that they are calling him a sellout, one who is different from us, one who is not speaking our language, one who is not walking in lockstep with us. And so he's being called that, but I see him doing quite some serious work. He's counted in the leagues of the Max Dupreas, the white people who actually stand up for the truth about the unfairness and the supremacist attitudes and the resistant to change that they see amongst their white, fellows. So Dan Corder here is doing a video where he's pointing out that there's a group of people who are Elon Musk's friends, and he calls them alt-right nonsense that is being promoted across South Africa. And this is the video that got Renaldo Gouws so pissed off, as you heard him earlier. Let's now listen to Dan Corder as he is pointing fingers and showing you what we've been speaking about lately, including the mighty Jamies, that there's a coordinated effort. You hear that? Let's hear now Dan Corder pointing us towards this. We will, ladies and gentlemen, eventually see the powers that be in South Africa. In America, it's very difficult to hide yourself if you are a right-wing opinion maker, if you are a person who stands with Western culture, white people's culture. It's going to be difficult for you to hide yourself because you come out on YouTube and you speak it, and there's a whole nother camp of people who are aware of what you are saying, what you are promoting, what you are an activist for. And so there's constantly this action and reaction. You speak, somebody will react to what you've spoken about. So people in the United States are not hidden. The left-wing media is known. The right-wing media is known. In South Africa, we just see the media as media, newspaper, article appearing, YouTube video of Rob Hersov in an interview with some other guy. We don't really see who are the right-wingers, what are they constantly saying, because there isn't so much a left-wing media or a middle media that is able to point you to see both. And I am that middle. Although people might say that I'm a leftist because I'm primarily against people on the right. No, I'm against people on the right's politics. But people on the right have an approach to life, a conservatism that I like and I subscribe to. They may claim to be Christian. I know Christ personally. I am not subscribed to Christianity as a culture, as a group thing. Christianity for me is my personal relationship with Christ. I don't know if the next person has a relationship with Christ or not. We may be standing in the same church singing together. I hope that you are with Christ and you want him and you are desiring to have him in your life. But I am personally desiring to have him so that I don't miss out on whatever Christ is there available. You understand? So let's get into it over here. So I do understand people on the right and whatever Christian values they say they have, though I'm cautious not to fall for people who are technically Christian but are not Christian in practice. So I am opposed to their politics, but I am a sympathizer with their moral lifestyle, though I don't fully know if they are living a moral, holy lifestyle or pursuing anything on that level. You understand? So I got problems with all people on the left and on the right, and I'm the middle who's going to be pointing to you to see what is what.
News worth knowing! Well done. Well done. You all passed, you can stay. Okay. I don't know if you've noticed, but... Okay. I want to use a word that I suspect I can't say on TV, okay?
Let me 1.2x speed this. 1.3.
So for this piece, I'm going to invent a new word that I might be able to say on TV, but you watching tonight will be telling me if it's bleeped or not, okay? I don't know if you've noticed, but people have been talking a lot of nonsense about South Africa recently. There's been a lot of nonsense afoot. I might say that there's a lot of kakafoot. Do you hear me? Does that make sense? That's our new word. I don't know if you on TV heard that or not, but we're going to find out. In the last few days and weeks, a bunch of white South Africans have proudly and loudly been lying about our country's history, spreading nonsense about our present, and posting purposefully misleading things about our people. So tonight, we are going to deal with all of this cackafoot, one by one, giving each single one the dose of truth and reality it deserves. We're going to look at claims that South Africa has hundreds of race-based laws that are as bad as apartheid, that white South Africans voted against apartheid, apparently, that apartheid was a democracy, and that Elon Musk's Starlink can't operate in South Africa because Elon is not black, apparently. All right, let's start with Pretoria Boys High's most infamous alum, Elon Musk. Elon Musk owns an internet company called Starlink. He wants the South African government to permit Starlink to operate in South Africa. The South African government said, sure, you're welcome to, so long as you comply with our business laws relating to multinational companies like everybody else does. Elon got very upset and posted, quote, Starlink is not allowed to operate in South Africa because I'm not black. That is what we in the world call a lie. That's cackafoot. Many multinational companies without black owners and CEOs operate in South Africa, including Microsoft, which, by the way, has complied with our laws, secured a great BBBEE rating, and literally just last week announced a new 5.4 billion rand investment into South Africa to expand its cloud and AI infrastructure in the country. This is on top of Microsoft spending 20 billion rand to open data centers in Johannesburg and Cape Town over the last few years. Satya Nadella is Microsoft's CEO, and you'll never believe this, Elon, he's not black. Elon is lying, but I don't even need you to tell me that, and this is the most embarrassing part. Elon's own AI called him a liar too, friends. Grok, the Twitter AI, was asked in a tweet why Starlink can't operate in South Africa, and it wrote, quote, Elon Musk, born in South Africa, faces regulatory hurdles with Starlink there due to licensing agreements, mandating 30% ownership by historically disadvantaged groups as per South Africa's black economic empowerment policies. This isn't about Musk's race, but compliance with local laws. Shame. Imagine being knifed that hard in the back by one of your things, guys. It's not cute. Microsoft complies with local laws. Starlink doesn't. Musk lied. Cackafoot. Sorted. Number one. Okay, number two. The Kifness is... Settle. The Kifness is a musician. He wrote that 69% of white South Africans voted against apartheid. He referred to the 1992 referendum when white South Africans voted on whether the government should continue its reform process aimed at a new constitution through negotiations. Now, it is true that, well, it's actually 68.73% of white South Africans voted yes in that referendum. But the Kifness and others are using that referendum result to mislead people into thinking that most white South Africans were against apartheid, which is, again, to use the technical term, a lie. Cackafoot. What actually happened is 69% of white South Africans voted for the ruling National Party NPA position on the referendum question. Because, I don't know if you know this, the NPA campaigned for the yes vote, and many white South Africans supported their position, as they did just 3 years before in the 1989 election when the apartheid-creating NPA won. And the apartheid-creating NPA also won the white South African vote in, let me check my notes, 1981, 1977, 1970, 1966, 1961, 1958, 1953, and 1948. The majority of white South Africans voted for apartheid 9 times out of 9 for 41 years. There were more successive NPA victories than Manchester City in the Premier League. Sure, once the NPA, yeah, they're literally better than Guardiola at apartheid, voted for by white South Africans. Sure, once the NPA realized that their days were numbered because South Africa was being crippled by sanctions and international pressure, they told white South Africans to vote yes in a referendum, but that was still the 10th time out of 10 that white South Africans voted for the NPA's position in a row. Saying that white South Africans voted against apartheid because of the 1992 referendum is like saying your dad, who binge drank for 41 years and then took a small break from binge drinking, is not an alcoholic. That is basically what they're trying to say. And by the way, in South Africa's first democratic election in 1994, just 2 years after the referendum, do you know who the vast majority of white South Africans voted for? The NPA. Your dad went straight back to binge drinking, folks. If the majority of white South Africans were genuinely anti-apartheid, they would have voted out apartheid long before 1992. And any suggestion otherwise is frankly an idiotic, offensive misportrayal of South African history. Cackafoot. 2 for 2. Ready for number 3? All right. Roland Schoeman is good at swimming. Recently, he has been good at swimming because he dopes. He was found guilty of doping. You're scandalized by the facts. He was found guilty of doping in 2020 and banned for a year, and he's been taking it really well. Since then, he's been struggling to find his new thing. He publicly begged President Ramaphosa to make him sports minister, was blue-ticked, and since then has spiraled into posting increasingly deluded alt-right silliness on the dark place formerly known as Twitter. And hilariously, Roland has been caught cheating again, because famous comedian Riyad Musa pointed out that Roland was using AI to generate answers to his critics because he was using the double hyphen, which AI uses, but newsflash, humans don't. So now he's stopped using the double hyphen, but let's look at something that it seems Roland came up with himself. He posted that apartheid was, quote, an exclusionary democracy. He wrote that it was a democracy, just not for everyone. Cuckafoot. As we all know, democracy is a system of governance by the whole population where every adult has a vote with equal power. Everyone who is ruled by that system of governance participates in its creation. Anything else? Not a democracy. Black South Africans were ruled over by the apartheid governance systems and had no power and no vote over its creation, even against their will. Not a democracy. Thank you for playing. Maybe try the swimming pool again. In fact, I'll go one better. Maybe take a few more performance-enhancing drugs and then come with better thoughts. That would be great. Now, what you should be noticing here is a strategy. These people and others are willfully, purposefully lying. They're misleading. They're rewriting the past. They're rewriting the present with alt-right talking points in order to try and ram false ideas into our heads for us to hold on to and repeat. What they're trying to do is destabilize the facts. They're trying to undermine what we know to be true. They're trying to make us hesitate. They're trying to make us lose confidence in what actually happens. This is an alt-right strategy all around the world, championed by Donald Trump's Make America Great Again movement. They lie. They decontextualize historical facts to create a misleading portrayal. They cast doubt over things that absolutely did happen. Now, some of this is orchestrated, and there is plenty of secret funding and dark money flowing around to different prominent voices around the world to say these things. Some of it is opportunistic people using the playbook that they see working for others to gain clout for themselves. And some of it is fools who drank the Kool-Aid and are now useful idiots in this broader agenda. But it's all happening here in South Africa, and more so than ever before.
There we have it. There we have it. There are liars out there, ladies and gentlemen. They are out there. They are here to wash and scrub what is true and replace it with a lie. It's called disinformation. It's to take information and put in the antithesis of information, to put in a lie. So that people can walk around with fear, can walk around with panic, so that the white people can be primed and ready with a swart gevaar. You know, there's a very good move that apparently the Israeli government pulled on Hamas. Or was it another gang? Was it Hezbollah? Another gang of terrorists. They got the terrorists. They found out that the terrorists were buying walkie-talkies from a certain company. Okay? And then they thought, what if we found a way to supply our enemies with walkie-talkies that have packages of explosives in them? And we will supply them. They will use them for years. They'll rely on them. And then there will come a time where they feel themselves a bit, and then we'll let them all explode, and they will wonder what the hell happened with walkie-talkies that are 7, 8, 9, 10 years old in our possession. How did that happen? So it seems the Israeli government, the spy agency, Mossad, bought the company that was selling the walkie-talkies, or bought a portion of that company through another company based in another country. So like an investment or a merger or an acquisition. And then they started supplying, if my story is correct. So all I'm saying about this is there are people who are smart enough to think so far ahead, to prime and prepare and to put small packets of explosives in the mind of people who need to be detonated and activated when the time is right. And you do that by doing what? By filling them with fear, by filling them with the possibility of the black people rising against them, about the black people treating them unfairly. You tell them that there's a genocide when there isn't one. You say that there are farm seizures because you are opposed to ink on paper, currently a law that we will see come into effect. We will see the first property expropriate. There will be property number 1, then there will be number 2, then there will be number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But before there's even 1, there's already an international hullabaloo about seizures, to the extent that Trump has invited Afrikaners to move to the United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, pay close attention to what is happening. We have a media that is in the middle. Not everyone is left versus right. There are those in the middle who just want to see the truth, who just want to see the lies of both camps exposed. And I hope you will come to this channel for all of that. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll be seeing you next time. I love you. Watch out.